Hi everybody, Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Iain and I. I've got with me today Iain Swanston, and we're going to be talking about sales strategy, why you need a strategy and what a sales strategy looks like. Iain's dialing in all the way from Edinburgh in Scotland. Iain, where can people find you, apart from in Edinburgh in Scotland?
Thank you, Tim. People can find me at www.closers.com. That's KLOZERS or ZERS if you're dialing in from the States, closers.com.
So Iain, straight off out the gate, why do we need a sales strategy?
Great question. And obviously that's the logical starting point. I think if we've got, let me backtrack. I think sales, B2B sales is difficult enough for all of us. The purpose of a sales strategy ultimately should be to make sales easier, and anything that can make sales easier is surely got to be a good thing. The sales strategy should enable the business to meet its goals in terms of revenue, but ultimately I'm a salesperson, and my goal would be to make life easier for the salespeople, for the troops on the ground when they're trying to close deals.
So in terms of a strategy, how do we get one? Because I know it's just too easy, isn't it, to say, here's a list of numbers, go and ring them.
Great, and maybe it's important for the listeners to try and separate a couple of things out here. Strategy and plan are two different things. The strategy would be, for example, the destination. Your sales plan is the roadmap that you're going to follow to take you to your destination. So the strategy and the plan are two different things. They're obviously very well connected, though, and the strategy is so important because it's going to help the business achieve its goals. And how do we do it? I would suggest there's a number of different things that you could look at. So first of all, focus on things like profitability. So most companies have got a stack of things, and they may be unsure what the profitability is on different products and services. Focus on what your sweet spot is in terms of what's the easiest thing to deliver. There's no point focusing on building a strategy around something that's difficult for you to deliver. And I would split the strategy 80-20. So 80% should be your what I would describe as your big bets. Now, what are big bets? If you look at Hollywood, I beg your pardon. If you look at Hollywood, every year, Hollywood comes out with a certain number of films that they've launched, invested a lot of money into, and it's another James Bond, it's another Bourne Ultimatum, it's another Rocky movie.
Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible.
Absolutely. So those are their big bets, and they're proven things that are going to win, right? So by focusing on an investment in time and resource on those big bets, they've de-risked next year's revenue to some degree. And then that 20% is going to be something that is going to be new and innovative, that is going to help you further differentiate yourself from the crowd. So for me, 80% big bets, 20% of your strategy should be something new that's going to differentiate you, and try and move to that blue water. Keep moving to that blue water.
So in terms of building a strategy, what we're going to do is we're going to get we're going to understand the business plan, and what we're going to do is we're going to connect that and align that with and we're going to create a sales plan off the back of that.
100%. As I said earlier, the point of the sales strategy is to deliver the revenue goals, the strategic goals that the business wants, and off the back of that, we create a sales plan, and the sales plan will include what I would describe as the day-to-day activities that the salespeople are going to do to actually execute on the plan.
And is this something that we do quarter by quarter, or is this something that we need to do more long term?
So that's a great question, and probably that's open for debate. Now, everybody listening, probably, certainly in my age, a business plan used to be a 5-year document, and then it moved to a 3-year document. And I would suggest that a sales plan and a sales strategy, I would be reluctant to do anything longer than 12 months, because out of all the areas in a business that are subject to change, in my head, and I stand to be corrected, but in my head, sales and marketing is the one area that just changes, so frequently. And I would be reluctant to have anything longer than 12 months. And I would certainly be reviewing it every quarter, right, to make sure that it was playing out as we'd thought, right? That doesn't mean that I would change it every quarter, but I'd be certainly reviewing it and keeping an eye on it. And at 6 months on, if something's changed, then at that point, take a view, am I going to change? But for me, 12 months is the maximum, Tim.
And in terms of the sales plan, you're going to look at certain territories, maybe certain accounts. So you would look at maybe grow, nurturing, maintaining and understanding what those things are, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and every business is going to be slightly different. You might create your sales plan around your territories. I'm a very simple person, and my go-to default for creating a sales plan is get last year's sales figures monthly, increase them 20%, and then that's the monthly goals. Now, that will even out any seasonality that your business may experience, and it's mentally easier to focus on that 20% per month figure rather than the 20% per annum. So, and obviously, right, even me doing the maths, if I do 20% per month based on last year, after 12 months, I'll get that minimum 20% per annum. So, but I accept that there's different ways to do the sales plan. It could be by territory, it could be by product. Lots of different ways to do that. That none of which are wrong.
Well, so one of the things that we need to do, I guess, if we've got a plan, we're gonna increase sales by 20%. We've got existing clients, there's new business. How do we know what we're going to focus on? What do we do in terms of segmentation and looking at our ideal customer profile?
So for me, most businesses have already got the answers to those, although they might not know it. So number one,
but I've seen people, when you say, so who's your target market, and they say, well, everybody that can breathe.
Yeah. So even those people, Tim, have what I would describe, if you sat them down and explained it or asked the question, say, who is your actual best customer in the last 12, 18 months? Which customer, was easy to onboard, right? Was profitable, was paid on time. Your people love dealing with their people, right? Work out who your best customer is, right? And then model your prospect, your ideal client profile based on that person. And the next step from that would be, how did we sell to that ideal client profile? How do we sell to that best prospect? Then create the sales process around that as a starting point, and then try and replicate and improve that sales process.
Right. So how do we decide? How do we decide who it is that we're going to sell to?
So I think if you've got product market fit, and most companies, I think product market fit can be a moving goalpost. And what happens, and I use BANT. Now, I'm not going to say that BANT is actually the best way to qualify prospects, but
so BANT works, being budget, authority, need, and time.
Yeah, but I'll explain using my hands why I like BANT. When salespeople are in front of the wrong prospect with the wrong product, what happens is that they try and force the issue, right? And that's when they start to lose rapport, they start to get ghosted, etc. When salespeople are in front of the right prospect with the right product at the right price, guess what? It all fits. And the prospect gets it. You don't have to ask for an order. They say, oh yeah, okay, what can we do next? So for me, it's so important to get in front of the right people. Well, first of all, to define who are the right people, and then try and get in front of them. And I see a lot of going back to what you said earlier about, a lot of people trying to sell to everybody and they end up selling to nobody. And nobody wants to look at that ideal client profile because it's someone that they looked at 3 years ago. It's a box that they ticked, and they just don't want to go back to that. The fundamentals of sales are the most important, Tim. Right? And when you get in front of the right prospect, if you've got the right product and the right price and everything, there's a fit. And when you're not, there is no fit. So you have to ask yourself, am I right in front of the right prospect here?
So what in sales, it's a debate that we often have, which is about being proactive and reactive. What's your advice?
So in my experience, a lot of companies are reactive, and that's part of their problem because they don't actually have a lead generation source. And I guess if you've got lots of leads coming in, there is an argument to, there's nothing wrong with being reactive because you're getting lots of sales leads.
Yep.
But B2B, right, most companies, the majority of companies by far are struggling to generate sales leads. Therefore, you have to be proactive. And proactive, in the last 5 years, there's a whole industry grown up around lead generation agencies, telesales agencies, etc., LinkedIn specialist agencies, because most salespeople are struggling to actually generate leads themselves. And for me, that's the business needs to step in and say, wait a minute, we need to help you generate those sales leads. We need to, as a business, take ownership of that and not necessarily farm it out to the lead gen companies. Not that I've got anything against them. I'm sure they're great at what they do, but if salespeople could generate their own leads, there would have been no need for those industries growing the way that they have done. So we've got to be proactive, and proactive means it doesn't just mean doing anything. It's about doing the right things at the right time. And I'm a great fan. I grew up with a target account selling. I think target account selling has probably been renamed, in the modern world, account-based marketing sort of thing. Pick a set of accounts. Pick a set of accounts. Work out who are the decision makers within the buying team inside those accounts, and then start to prospect on those.
In terms of in terms of the we've worked out what our territory is. We've worked out that we need to focus, and we know that we need to be proactive. And I think one of the things I quite often see is, especially in where there's been an owner-led organization. So we're talking about a small business, and the owners would have gone out and sold to their mates. So, and the mates will have bought. So it's and then when they start getting the salespeople, the mates that they've sold to may not actually be representative of their ideal customer. Do you understand what I mean?
100%. And I'm not knocking on founder-led businesses, tech startups. However, by nature, a lot of these people are introverts, and the first thing that they want to do is get sales and marketing off the desk so they can get back to what their passion and most important thing in their life is, and that's their product, their technology, etc. So there's a rush to bring salespeople in, right? And there's a rush to do this product market fit, right? And they're invariably trying to scale before they've actually defined the product market fit, which is exactly what you're talking about. There is no product market fit. Just because you've sold 2 or 3 times doesn't mean you've got a product market fit. It's got to be repeatable. What was the churn? For me, the founder-led companies struggle because they want to get sales off the plate, so to speak. And they okay, let's get some salespeople in. And invariably what happens is the salespeople start to struggle. You'll get churn amongst your staff. And unless the founder sticks at it for not forever, but maybe another 6-12 months to get that genuine customer feedback coming in so they can do that, those iterations to get it the product where it needs to be, right? what happens is the founder won't take on board the feedback from the salespeople and says, well, it's not the product's fault, it's your fault. And then you have a revolving door of salespeople. Equally, the marketing, I'm sure you've seen it where you've got a small tech company, they've got 20 developers and they've got one marketing person sitting in the corner. And that one marketing person is constantly being told to focus
It's quite
on
often the owner's PA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that marketeer has been told to focus on the product, not so the not only is the marketing product centric, the whole company's product centric, right? And there's no customer centric approach to this whatsoever. And you can tell by the deck, you can tell by the way that they talk. It's all about the product. It's not about the customer. It's not about the problems and the outcomes that they're delivering. It's all about the product.
Yeah, I went to a meeting, and the sales leader said to me, so you would have looked at the website before you came here, so as part of your preparation. I said, I did. He said, so can you explain to us what we do? I said, no, I can't. He said, yeah, well, that's the problem we've got. He said, we've got 3 PhDs running this company, and he said, no one understands the website. Let's talk about sales and marketing. What if we're running a sales strategy, what should we be doing with marketing?
There's a great question, and this is maybe a controversial approach, but it feels like the business model where you had an operations department, you had a finance department, you had a sales department, and you had a marketing department. To me, that just feels like something that was created a century ago and is just no longer fit for purpose. My belief is that, and my experience is that a lot of the great marketeers that I meet could actually do a great sales job. And often a lot of the salespeople are great marketeers as well. And I think there's a silo being created there that should never be there. So the first thing that I would do is get everybody in a team. This is obviously going to be controversial, but when you say to salespeople, yeah, you know, we're going to take sales out of your title, we're going to take marketing out of marketing's title, and we're going to put you in some other department, a hybrid department. A lot of people are uncomfortable in that. But if you've noticed, like there's a CRO is a job title that's becoming more and more prevalent, Chief Revenue Officer. I just think that marketing and sales, we're setting it up for failure by creating these silos right from the start. And we should be working together, right? Not at odds. And we should have common goals. Certainly not different goals. We should all have common goals that we're working towards.
I totally agree. I've worked in organizations when, you know, we've spent the day throwing stones at marketing and they spent the day throwing stones at us. And then when we actually worked together, there was a certain amount, you know, we needed a common language.
Yeah.
And it actually took us 18 months actually to get together. But once it was together, it was magical.
Yeah.
There was a real magic, you know.
Yeah.
And so in the minute and a half that we've got left, talk to us about data.
Data, I would describe it. Data is the oil that's going to keep your sales engine flowing. I think data allows you to make educated decisions, and we're all guilty, myself included, of making emotional decisions. And sometimes they're right, but equally sometimes they're wrong. And I think just understanding the data and fine-tuning the data so that you don't end up with too much data and you're drowning in data, because when you've got too much data, what happens is people start not to read the data, and people start to miss things, and the information's all there. So for me, you need to work out whether you're using OKRs, whether you're using KPIs, right? Work out what the data is that you need, right? Start off small, start off with 3 or 4 important bits of data, right? And once you've got that nailed, use a RAG system, red, amber, green, work out what the appropriate signals are, right? And start to report on that for a week, and then just build on that. That would be my.
So that's like having a close reason. So when you close something, you either you win it or you lose it. there's a drop down box of different closes that you can have. But I know that you're very keen that not only should you be collecting it, that you should be using it as well.
Yeah. So in most cases, when we lose a deal, we just sort of go in the huff a little bit and shrug our shoulders and just keep moving. And instead of going, wait a minute, why did we lose that deal? When that situation comes up next month, what can we do differently? Right? That customer who's just bought X, Y, Z, is that a one-off purchase? Like once in a 10-year purchase, or is that a service that they're probably going to be going to tender again in 12 months and 24 months? If so, let's start building those relationships now. Let's try and understand why we've lost, and then reposition ourselves for the next time it comes round.
Iain, thank you so much for coming on and talking about sales strategy. Where can people find you?
www.closers.com is probably the easiest place. I'm obviously on LinkedIn, Iain Swanston. People are more than welcome to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have a conversation and advise anybody, business owners, salespeople. I genuinely love sales and marketing. So the biggest problem we'll have is getting me to shut up.
And that's closers with a K, isn't it?
That's it.
And Iain with an I.
KLOZERS. That's